it's not only education, it's not only accommodation, it's not only co-working. We pull it all together. And we strongly believe that if we can pull traveling and an innovative education system together, what we're doing is we're giving opportunities to families, not just kids or not just adults, but families as a whole to live a different lifestyle and something that honestly has not been thought of before. So till now, it was, you have digital nomads, people working from different places, and once they have kids, that's where it ends. And by bringing in it, one of our co-founders, who's the CEO, he has three little girls, and by his thought was like, what can we do to make something different? I don't want to stop this lifestyle, but I owe it to my kids to give them, education, to give them experiences, to give them opportunities that I don't need to homeschool them. I have three grown-up boys. So for me, I completely get it. Homeschooling kids, I have a lot of admiration. I don't know how you do it with your own kids. So we're taking off that stress from you by offering something that is more than just just accommodation and co-working space and education. It's pulling it all together. And what we'll go through is I will share about Boundless Education and how we do it, a day in the life, and then Peter will take over by sharing about what's going to happen in Bali itself. So this I already shared, jumped the gun. Our vision is to create a community where we have active and impactful learners. So it's not just, sitting down and learning concepts. All the concepts across all curricula are always the same. The concepts stay constant. It's how you teach, what you do with those concepts, what you do with the learning that has an impact. And I will share with you how we do that in the next few slides. Yeah? Can you go to the next, please? So by providing a transformational learning system, it follows a child to any Boundless Life Microschool. That is like a huge, huge statement to share. So what we have is we have a curriculum, and we have divided that curriculum up into three cohorts that we call cohorts, and are basically the same as semesters, so that when a child moves from one destination to another, there is no break in that child's learning, in the child's development, in the child's experiences, because what is being covered in one destination at the same time is covered in all destinations. So families can pretty much choose where they want to be and be reassured that their kids are getting what they should in a full academic year, if they stay with us for a full academic year. If families choose to come in and join and then leave for a cohort and then rejoin, of course, it's on that family to fill in the gaps. But what we have and what we do is structured in such a way that it's very personalized. And again, we'll go a little bit deeper into that in a minute. What we do that's special is we have the curriculum that is the same across all destinations, but every experience in each destination is going to look very different. The cultural immersion, the experiential learning is going to be very, very different. It depends on, the experiences in Bali are very different from the experiences here. I'm sitting here in Tuscany at the moment, where we have our third microschool. And having spent a lot of time in Bali, I can just see the richness of what the families and the kids will get from being in these different destinations. Take something as simple as art. just that very simple concept of art. In Bali, you have the batik, you have all of the local arts, the shadow puppets. Um, I don't even remember all of them, but there's such rich experience there. And then you come to Tuscany and you look up, walking here, you just look up at the art. Elodie was here a week ago, and literally your neck hurts because all you're doing is looking up at this incredible art. And then you go to Sintra, where you have all the castles, and you have a different, the Moorish art there that is so very different. So the concepts the kids are learning are the same, but how they experience it and how they interact with these concepts is very, very different from one place to another. The cultural immersion is a huge part of what we do. And in our system, what is very important to us is we, instead of saying we have teachers who stand up in front of the classroom and deliver a lesson, we have mentors, and they work in collaboration with the kids, with um, with all our offering, and with the parents. With the parents, I had a parent on Friday um, bump into me on the road, and she said, I have never felt so safe and so cared for as a family as I do here with Boundless. And it was just, it's the best thing you can ever hear. She said, our family is experiencing things that we didn't think was ever possible. And that's wonderful. It's such a great thing to hear from the parents. Elodie's thinking, I need to get that quote in writing, but it was a beautiful thing to hear. So pulling in the parents, involving our parents is a huge, huge part of what we do. Can we go to the next slide, please, Elodie? Our values are very important to us. Um, we want we want our kids to be bold. We want our forget the kids. We are being bold in what we do in this education system. We are being bold in the way we have structured it, and we literally encourage our educators to be bold. If we don't take those risks, if we don't make the little mistakes, there is no way we are going to change traditional education. So if we, as Boundless and the ones who lead the teams, don't encourage our educators, our mentors, to be bold and to try things differently, then how is that going to pass on to the kids? So for us, it's really important to live what we want our kids to live. We need to model for them that, hey, yes, we made a mistake here. Let's go back. Let's check. Let's learn from this. What can we do differently? And, we're a year old. We've learned over this time of what works, what doesn't work, and we are forever developing that. So I always say the moment we say we've got this down pat, that's when we're making that biggest mistake. That we have to continuously evolve through the system, through the education. Something as simple as in recent months, AI and chat GPT has become a big topic of conversation in education. If we shut that out and don't evolve into that space, that's when we become redundant. So being bold, being innovative, collaborating across and sharing ideas across, this is really, really important. Learning from our families. We've got parents who are just experts in these various fields, experts in technology, experts in healthcare, in so many areas. If we don't learn from them, then that's where, again, we're becoming redundant. So collaborating with families is a big part of that, and being resilient. Sometimes there will be things that don't work, but saying, let's move on, let's learn from this and make changes. And having fun along the way, very, very important for our kids. I had my 21-year-old son visited here at the end of the last cohort, and we had a learning celebration. And he turned to me and he said, why wasn't school this much fun when I was in school? I would have learned so much more. And that's a big deal for a 21-year-old to say, you know. So we need to have fun, and we need to share that fun as well. So Elodie, can we go to the next? So how do we do it? At the base, we have the Nordic Baccalaureate. And the Nordic Baccalaureate was a system created by me in my previous company with a team of amazing educators. And it was based on the Finnish system. And why I say based on the Finnish system, because you cannot take a state system and just implement it somewhere else. You need to make adjustments. You need to make, how do you take a system that has educators who all have master's degrees and have these really high expectations and make it work somewhere else? And especially make it work in a system that is boundless. So we had the base in the Nordic Baccalaureate, and that came from the Finnish system. But what we also did is it was over 4 years that we spent researching and building this system. We realized that it wasn't only the Finnish system. There's so much good in different education systems around the world. It was curating all that goodness and pulling it together. How do we pull all of this together and make it work? And how do we then take that step to make it work in Boundless Education so that it follows the kids from destination to destination? And as I said, we broke it down into cohorts. But what we also have is we are developing, along with a well-known company, a platform where we have the kids share their work in a portfolio. It collects a portfolio. The children's work are connected to outcomes in the curriculum, but it's interactive. It's not just the kids put the work or the teachers put the work. There is that feedback element, and I prefer to use the word feed forward element. That what can we do when the kids put some work on the platform? What do we do as educators working with the kids to improve on what they're doing? And this is something we're developing every step. We're currently piloting it in Sintra and Syros, and it will roll out for September. So when a child moves from Sintra to Syros or to Bali or to wherever, they will have this portfolio of work that actually tags where a child is at in math, in English, what science concepts they've covered, what social studies concepts they've covered. But how we do it is we pull it together in what we call quests. And these are based on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Again, I will open this up a little bit more. And with these quests, we have within the quests, within the classrooms, we have multi-age learning. So with the multi-age learning, Elodie, if you go to the next one, please. Multi-age learning is very key to what we do. Because we all know, like, if you've got 4 kids and you're homeschooling them, you know that at no point are all 4 at the same level. If you've been in a classroom, if you've been teaching, you know that even if you have 20 6-year-olds or 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds, whatever, I always say there's a percentage, and I always put it at about 40% of the kids will be at the same level at the same time. And then you have, maybe 30% that are more advanced and 30% that might be finding challenges in that area. So why do we stick to age ranges? Why do we stick to single age classrooms? Why not have these multi-age learning situations where the older kids can help support the younger ones and the younger ones can learn from the older ones? It's amazing how much the older kids learn from the younger ones, the amount of respect, the amount of understanding and empathy that happens there is phenomenal. My background is, like, in my early teaching, it was very Montessori based with the mixed age groups. So this is where the multi-age learning really, really came to the forefront, that the joy of multi-age learning for the kids is key to what we do. So, Elodie, if you go to the next slide, then we can share how we do it in Boundless. So, of course, to be able to make it manageable in the classroom, we've taken it to Montessori has usually a 3-year age range, and that's what we follow as well. So you have the 1 to 3-year-olds, the 4 to 6-year-olds in upper exploration, and that's very, very heavily Montessori based. We have all the Montessori material. Our educators are currently all Montessori trained educators, and even our support staff, we train them if they don't already have Montessori training. And then we have lower foundation is when we go into the primary years, and they're from 7 to 9. And upper foundation is from 10 to 12. And a lot of people ask, why is it 7 to 9 and 10 to 12? Why do we start at 7? When we say we're based on Finnish education in Finland, part of the success that Finland has had is attributed to kids starting at the age of 7. And it doesn't mean that before 7 they are not allowed to read and write, but formalized school begins at 7 when they're more ready to accept formal education. And in all the studies that have been done, once the kids reach about the age of 9 or 10, the gaps that people assumed kids would have by joining formalized school later are all covered. The kids catch up, and beyond catch up, it's just a natural progression, and they're more ready for it. So the gaps are less, and in fact, all the studies have shown that these kids actually excel because they're more ready to take that next step into formalized education. Any questions at this point? Because I've been talking so much. I'm trying to get in as much as possible. Okay.
Nope. All
No?
right, Suzanne. Looks like you're doing a good job at explaining.
Okay, just tell me if I need to slow down because I'm trying to fit in as much as we can in the short time that you have. Yeah. So if we go to the next one, how do we make all of this happen? We've got interdisciplinary learning, we've got experiential learning, we've got personalized, we've got future ready, we've got purposeful, and we've got mindful well-being. How do we pull all of these things together and actually make it relevant and bring it alive in the classroom? Have our educators feel comfortable doing this, and beyond comfortable, but get really enthusiastic and excited about it, and pass on that excitement and that feeling you get when you're doing something really well and you've got purpose in doing it. Pass it on to the kids. So how we do it is through what we call quests. So Elodie, if you go to the next one, please. So in our questing, when we were developing this whole system, we kept thinking, how do we bring this alive? What is it that can pull all of these subjects together, pull the personalized journey together, pull the experiential learning together, and still make it really purposeful for the kids? And we came across, then, of course, everyone's aware of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And one of my experiences are that when you walk into a school, many schools do it well. Many schools give the Sustainable Development Goals lip service. It's on the wall, or they talk about it for a week. And I would say in Finnish education, this is what's called the interdisciplinary learning. And Finnish schools do it very differently in each school. And the ones that I've seen, I've done a lot of research into how these interdisciplinary units of inquiry or units of learning are done. And the ones that were the most effective are the ones that did it over a longer period of time. And if you research Finnish schools, many schools will do it for a week and say, okay, it's done. And that's what we wanted to get away from, ticking the box. How do we bring it alive in the classroom? And what we did is we broke up these interdisciplinary learning units into each cohort. So it lasts between 10 and 12 weeks, depending on when you join us. And Elodie, if you go to the next slide. And all of our kids are addressing the same quest. So, for example, in September, the quest will be water of life. And it's all about water. And actually, it's perfect for Bali. And how, you know, it'll be the way you approach it in Bali. I was thinking when we were looking at it, the water, the sea, the mangroves, the how the impact of the mangroves. And one of the things I shared is when the tsunami hit, having lived in that area for so long, it was wherever there were mangroves is where the tsunami didn't have do that much damage. In the areas that were open, the damage was much more significant. So bringing in that water aspect to see the impact of that water has on different cities, different people, taking into account, for example, in Syros, where you're on an island and it's more challenging to get clean water. How is water, um, how is drinking water available there? Taking that into consideration, Tuscany and Sintra, all of that. So how water is so, so important. In Portugal, you have, very bad drought. So the impact of water there with the drought on crops, taking that local perspective, immersing into the local culture to understand that, taking the kids out to visit a farm in Portugal where you can see when there's water, um, how lush and how fruitful the crops are. But when there's no water and there's a drought, what happens and the impact on the local community. So all of this is taken in a very local perspective. But what you will get across all destinations is you will get the math, you will get the English, you will get the science. The concepts will be the same. And I know math and English are a big question for a lot of families because when you're traveling, how do you identify where kids are at? How do you address them at that personalized level? And what we've done, we've curated a program called Mathletics, which is used globally. It's an amazing online program. But what we've done is literally take 9 years of Mathletics, um, sitting on the floor in Syros and dividing the Mathletics and the strands into these cohorts to ensure that over a year, the kids get everything they're supposed to. So to give you a very small example, what we do is we've taken, say, the strand of number, and in a cohort, we have curated um, number for year 1, for year 2, for year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to 8. So when a child comes in, I think up to 9, we assess them and see where they're at so that we can address them. It doesn't matter what their age, it's their ability level that we can say you are at level C or level D or even at level A, so that we address them, we face those challenges with the child, prepare them, and allow them to take the next step, to have success at where they're at, to build their confidence, to bridge the gaps in their learning so that they can move forward more confidently. So we've done that with all of the subjects. And one of the really impactful things is when all of our community is focusing on the same quest, they take it home. Elodie was here for a week, and Elodie, I know you shared something about Noah cleaning up and, marching up to someone who was littering and asking them to clean. That's when like, okay, yes, it's also the family that makes those things happen. But when you've actually had an impact on the kids and what they do. So if we move forward, um, I think I've already addressed this, how the kids can move from one to the other. And when you have a portfolio and you have a curriculum and levels identified, then it's very easy for the kids to pick up. But I think what we do, something that is even more impactful, is before you join, we have a very in-depth interview and a process where we curate information about your child, your family, what works, what doesn't work. And that information, we create a 360 profile, which means when the kids are at a destination for only 3 months, it usually takes a little bit of time to get to know the kids. But when this incredible interview, and it's a beautiful experience meeting with Celicia, who does our interviews and can identify and help you also as a family identify where your child's challenges are, what is your child like, where is it that your child might have some struggle or is not used to. When we have that information and we have a week between cohorts where educators and our coordinators can read through that information and prepare for your child, to invite your child in, to welcome your child in, and see that, oh, wow, Peter, I know you love butterflies or whatever it might be, horses, whatever it is. That connection that happens there is fabulous for the kids. It's fabulous for the parents when you're going to a new place and your child is welcomed in knowing about your child already. That is, I think, where what we do to welcome your children and to make sure that we are addressing your child at where they are is really, really, really key. And that information passes from one destination to another as your family moves from one destination to another. So, trips and cultural experiences, I've already been through this, shared how we address each destination. So let's move on to the next one. A day in the life of exploration. How we do this is just a flow. With exploration, our younger ones that go up to the age of 6, it's more of a flow through the day, and kids get time to engage with the material that's there, with the quest. Um, we have a very welcoming, open community with the kids. They sing, they have connection time where they discuss, things that have happened over the weekend. They get to work with the material. They have time to rest. They have time to read. And with the Montessori setup, it's very, very, very personalized. And if your child, even at the age of 5, needs a nap in the afternoon, absolutely going to happen if they need it and if that's what you wish. If a 3-year-old doesn't take naps anymore, not a problem as well. They have time to read and have some quiet time so that they can also just rest a bit. Being at school, so to speak, even though we don't use the word school, is a child's work. So they need rest as well in the day. If we go on to the next slide, Elodie. For foundation, which are the primary years, so from the age of 9 to 12, sorry, the age of 7 to 12, we have different parts of the day and the timetable. Connection time is when you do a lot of mindfulness. We do a lot of social emotional skills then as well, building friendships, learning to adapt when there's so much movement, every 3 months. So to prepare these kids for what they will experience. Mastery time is when concepts are taught. That's when you learn the concept of addition, subtraction, nouns, adjectives, experiments. That's when the focus is on building these mastery skills. And quest time at the interdisciplinary units, where they get to apply what they have mastered. They get to apply the concepts. And when kids can apply those concepts to their learning, that's when you get true understanding and true internalizing of of the concepts instead of ticking a box and it's forgotten, in a few months. So when they're applying it, that's when they see the value of it. And that's when they develop even beyond just understanding the concepts. Then we have boundless time. And boundless time is based on the 20% genius time. And that's when kids get to explore things that they are interested in, no matter what it is. That's the time they can go in, they can research, they get support from the community, from the educators to explore whatever it is they are interested in and develop it further. Whether, again, it's football, a lot of the kids start off with football. A lot of, there's many that do that, or butterflies, or whatever it may be, but taking them beyond just like, researching a player. Getting to understand, one of the things we were talking about with one of the educators is, yes, this child might be interested in a player, but let them understand what it took to get the player to where they're at. What dedication, what practice, what hours, what nutrition, all of the aspects that make them what they are, so that they understand, as kids, it's like, oh, I want to be like whoever their favorite player is, but to understand what it takes to get to that stage and what they need to do beyond that. And then we have a lot of nature time and culture time. So nature time is whatever the nature may be in your destination, connecting with that, understanding why it is the way it is in a particular destination. So why does Sintra have this lush green forest with plants that don't exist in Portugal? Understanding why, how history and the king there brought all of this flora to Sintra to create this incredible greenery there that doesn't normally exist there, or to understand why in Tuscany, we don't have it in the center, but you take a 5-minute walk and then you've got all of these nurseries, you've got all of the nature around there. And Bali, of course, will look very, very different. And that also connects to the culture. What is special to that culture? Understanding the art in Tuscany, understanding the culture that is unique to Bali there. And what we love is Endeavor Time. That's when we get parents to come in and share their expertise, share their understanding. And sorry, Elodie, but I always use your husband as an example. Elodie, maybe you'd like to share there because it's so...
Yeah, I'm happy to. Hannes came over and did a class about entrepreneurship, which sounds a little bit formal on the paper, but he focused on four simple concepts with the kids, and the kids were like 4 to 12. So you had the investor, the entrepreneur, the supplier, and the consumer, and split them in between groups and explain them those concepts by doing a play. So the kids had to figure out which company they wanted to build, and they decided to create the Woof Toy company. And they role played the whole process of creating the company. And I can tell you, it was amazing how all kids from all ages were engaged, obviously at very different levels. But I'm pretty sure that now we would ask any of those kids in the class what those 4 concepts are. They will vividly remember that the consumers were very, very happy with the Woof Toy company toys that had been produced. So that was the little one. But we've had some about photography. We've had some about, I don't know, how to read labels and which ingredients are right or wrong. Like, there's been really, the parents have been so engaged across the different microschools, and I'm sure that Bali will be no exception to the rule.
Yep. No limits to that.
That's right, no limits.
That's it from my side. Feel free to question now, later, but I will hand over to Peter. Hopefully that gave you a long but quick snapshot of what we do.
Thank you, Suzanne. Elodie, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Thank you. So as Elodie and Suzanne said, I am Peter. I am the launch lead for our locations, and I help in the processes. I will be on the ground in Bali and Sanur specifically on June 1st to help start us up here in the summer in July. So looking at the specifics of Bali and what that will look like on a day-to-day basis for the summer, it will be our Boundless Camp, which is called Looking Through through the looking glass. It's based on Sustainable Development Goal number 4. It ensures inclusive and equitable quality education and promotes lifelong learning opportunities for all. So through this summer quest, it will immerse students in the local culture, and that is true of every one of our locations across the globe. But the quest does not have any mastery time to teach new concepts and academic subjects, but will incorporate aspects of various subjects. So as you can see here in the slide, the 3 areas that we will focus on over the summer are art, sports, and science, and they will be split up into sort of 2-week sections. In art specifically, we'll focus things in the culture focused on pottery and ceramics, as Suzanne alluded to earlier, maybe the batik art and fabrics as well. And kids will learn how to, make their own. They will have an opportunity to go to potentially local areas to see some of these fabrics firsthand, and then create sort of a mini exhibition that allows you and the family to see the work, and they can showcase it. And then we'll move into sport. We'll focus on local sports. One of them, as an example, would be sepak takraw. Pardon my pronunciation, I'm learning. But basically, it's like a foot volley, and they'll learn the history of the sport. They'll have an opportunity to learn the rules, to play, and then possibly as a field trip, we would look into actually seeing a professional match so they could see it firsthand and get excited and learn the players and see how amazing and fun it is for the Balinese people. And then lastly, we have our science, where we can focus on the marine biology, the coral reefs. The kids can learn how tourism impacts the coral reefs there. We'll also have an opportunity to potentially design kites and learn those processes. And, with the kite festival happening over the summer cohort, it will be a great opportunity for the kids to see those firsthand and celebrate that spirit and those festivals firsthand, both in school and out. So while we won't be focusing on mastery subjects, there will be very much immersed in the culture and still learning a lot of topics that they can use moving forward before our academics year starts up again in September. Next slide. Also, we have our ECAs, extracurricular activities. So we believe that our children can unlock their full potential through meaningful and enjoyable experiences outside the classroom. So in all of our locations, if you're interested in signing up your child for any of these enriching experiences, we offer them at our education center, and they're usually after hours. Some things to potentially look forward to are surfing, cooking, guitar, yoga, paddleboarding, language, and martial arts, to name a few. These are really amazing activities for all the kids, and they get involved in all of our locations. Usually you have an opportunity to see what those offerings are in each location well before you start, and an opportunity to sign up before you start. But even if you're still having some hesitations, we offer some trials. We also give you an opportunity in the beginning to sort of meet the partners that help us in these extracurricular activities, so you can build trust. And also, we're here to answer all of your questions through that process. But it's really amazing, and the kids have an opportunity to focus on new interests and also follow passions that they already have. Next slide. And lastly, our Bali campus. So as you can see through the picture, I'm excited to be there, and I'm excited for others to have that experience as well. It encompasses all you can dream of. So it's close to Sindhu. It has a beautiful large garden for the kids, and it has traditional Balinese bungalows as classrooms. So as you can see, Elodie moving the mouse around there, those are your bungalows, and then that big awesome garden right there for the kids to be around in, to do activities in and outside of the classrooms. We will offer 6 different classrooms, 2 lower exploration, which is the 1 to 3-year-old range that Suzanne alluded to. And then we have 2 upper exploration, which is the 4 to 6-year-olds, and then 1 lower foundation for 7 to 9-year-olds, and 1 upper foundation classroom for our 10 to 12-year-olds. And that is our Bali campus, and we really are excited to really launch this area, and we can't wait to see many of your faces.
Thanks, Peter. I'm really looking forward to going there as well. I'll be there with my family in January, so really can't wait. I'll close with some of the more logistic information about nutrition and also about the admission process. So for the Bali school, we have 2 elements. So first is the registration fee, which enables you to enter and access the Boundless Education, which is $1,800 per child. Knowing that we'll offer a very, very deep discount for the first 50 Boundless Explorers, because we want to make sure that that the first ones joining the school are welcome with a big gift. And then the monthly fee is $1,300 per child. We have a sibling discount, so if you have different children, then there is an additional discount that comes in of 10% for the second child and 15% for when you have 3 children. And what this monthly fee includes is obviously the everyday at school. So the school is from 8:45 to 3:30. The lunch and the snacks are included. Monday to Friday, the school is open, but also it will give you access to the Boundless community. So there is a parents' lounge that is on the site. There will be also community experiences and activities and weekly wellness activities for the parents, yoga and meditation that are quite enjoyable to join. So this is the cost for the school year, so from September to June. And for the summer program, the cost is slightly different. So it's 2,250 for the 6 weeks and 900 if you decide to join only for 2 weeks. Then in terms of the admission process, Suzanne and Peter already explained quickly. So you already did the first step, which is the webinar today. And then there is a simple application form to submit to join Boundless Education, which Salisha reviews. And then if all goes well, you're joining the school. And once your application has been approved, then you go through the 360 profile interview, which really helps us to understand all the needs of your child and prepare to best welcome him or her into the education center. So those are the simple next steps. I think that's it from our side. We still have 15 minutes for questions that you might have. So yeah, if anyone has any questions about Boundless, the Bali campus, or the logistics, over to you. No questions? Was everything that clear? Is that possible?
No, not clear. Wait, I'm still thinking. Oh, 1 second. Maybe the others first. Okay. How to say? Suzanne, right? The first speaker, is it?
Yeah, Suzanne, that's right.
Suzanne. For the Boundless, how to say, Boundless life, right? For 2023, you started in Bali, and I look at the schedule before until 2028. So you actually have different countries already listed. Is that right, or you are still thinking about it?
You're on mute, Suzanne. Doesn't work.
I can't hear any.
Yeah, I think Suzanne is on mute. You're talking. Let me try to fill in while Suzanne is figuring out the technical aspects. You're talking about that one, right, Richmond?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So the quest this is the whole program of the quest until 2028. That's right. So that's what the education, all the different microschools, Boundless microschools will follow wherever they are in the world. So every year we'll have 3 quests that are following the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, but they're consistent across all the locations. And basically what it shows you is that the education team has already figured out what is the program on those quests up until 2028. What we want to make sure is that the kids will continuously learn new areas from those quests, that there will be no repetition for any kids wherever they are across the different microschools, and that they cover a very large range of topics and area along their curriculum with Boundless. I think Suzanne is now back online. If you want to build on Suzanne.
The reason why we have it for 6 years is because when you look at the age range from 7 to 12, it's 6 years that a child will be with us either in exploration or in foundation, which is the primary years. And after that, we repeat, we go back to the first quest. And exactly as Elodie said, it's so that they don't repeat the UN Sustainable Development Goals, but then that we have it organized for 6 years, all of the curriculum. But all of the destinations, we'll be adding, Richmond, many destinations every year.
Okay, for the summer camp, it's going to be only in Bali for this year. Is
No,
or you have another destination too?
Yeah, we have Sintra, Portugal. We have Syros, Greece. We have Tuscany, Italy for this summer. And Elodie will share that we are actually almost, 95% booked for the summer, except Bali, because it's new.
That's right.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, that's correct. And then more locations coming up next year. But for Bali, that was the program that that Peter was going through. So that will be the specific program for Bali, knowing that the European locations are already fully booked indeed.
Okay, I see. Thank you.
And also to understand that in the summer, as it says there, it's not for teaching new concepts or academic subjects. So it's a boundless camp. The academics happen from September to June.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions from anyone?
I think Kartika raised hand before.
Yes, I've got 2 questions. If I see the schedule here for the summer camp, it means that from week 1 and week 2, there will be all about art, and then 3 and 4 will be sports, and 5 and 6 will be science. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so from the first newsletter that I got, the student can join for a minimum of 2 weeks, which means for the 2 weeks, she will be joining in one of the subjects only. Is that right? Or
Yes.
one of the themes?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And the second one is probably more of a long-term effect of this kind of education. Do you have probably any story or what is the biggest difference between students who are going through this kind of education process compared to traditional schooling? How are they coping in professional world? Because the way I see it, this one is more of a less structured, and then probably there's less time restrictions and probably less discipline, I should say. How are they going to cope in professional world later on when they have all along this kind of a more free education? What's your view on that?
I can take that question. So what we do is based very heavily on Finnish education, which has been proven time and time again to be very successful, and also to reduce the stress that the kids feel and the families feel. And that's the key takeaways from what we do. You use the word discipline, and I think what we do is, the way we do it is, it helps the kids self-regulate rather than discipline from external discipline. And by this personalized journey, by guiding and mentoring the kids to move forward and develop from where they are, it builds confidence. It builds that self-regulation that we all need. When you look at the world and jobs as they are today, there's a lot of self-regulation that's needed in jobs. We're moving more and more away from very structured jobs to jobs where you need to promote yourself. You need to believe in yourself. You need to be able to speak, to stand up for yourself. And those are the things that we want our kids to do. So at the end of every cohort, for example, we have a learning celebration where every single child gets to participate, gets to present, gets to share their learning. And that in itself brings that self-regulation and brings the discipline, but internalized instead of externally forcing it on a child, I would say.
Right. So more of an internal drive instead of external.
Yes, very
Okay.
much so.
Okay, thank you, Suzanne.
Great. Thanks for everyone's questions. I guess I see no more hands, so I think it will be the end of the webinar. I've recorded also the session so that this can be. Lindsay has a question.
Yeah, sorry, I was just crunching numbers on my side, and I wondered about the. I can lower my hand now. Okay. I was looking at the registration fees and the big discount you have for the first 50 explorers.
Yep.
If a family were to register now but not have the time to go until, say, January, is it from the point they register or from when they attend?
From the point they register.
Okay. So it would still, yeah, I was just wondering if, yeah, of the timing. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for clarifying. Super. So yeah, I'll send that video as well to everyone so you have it as a reference. And then if you have any further questions, just don't hesitate to connect with me for the moment, and with Peter as well. So I'll add his email address. Yeah, if you're ready to move ahead, then I'll also add the application form so you can join us as soon as possible on the campus in Bali or wherever next on this planet. So thanks a lot everyone for joining today. I hope it was a useful session, and we're looking forward to seeing you hopefully in Bali very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.